What is the Genius Act? The Genius Act, short for Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins, is a landmark piece of legislation that finally draws a clear line in the digital sand. Passed by the U.S. Senate in June 2025 with rare bipartisan support, the act sets up federal guardrails for stablecoin issuers. In plain English, it lays down the rules for how stablecoins must be created, managed, and backed to ensure they're safe, trustworthy, and, well, stable. At its core, the Genius Act does 4 key things. 1. Licensing. Anyone who wants to issue a stablecoin in the U.S. must register with a federal authority. Smaller players can operate under state regulation, unless they hit $10 billion in circulation. At that point, federal oversight kicks in. 2. Backing reserves. Every stablecoin must be backed 1.1 with real assets. That means for every dollar of digital currency issued, the issuer needs to hold $1 in cash, U.S. Treasury bills, or similarly stable investments. 3. Transparency and audits. Issuers must publicly disclose what's in their reserves every month and undergo regular third-party audits. 4. Consumer protections. If an issuer goes bankrupt, stablecoin holders are first in line to get their money back, even ahead of banks and bondholders. In short, the Genius Act tries to do for stablecoins what FDIC insurance does for your checking account: make them boring, safe, and reliable. And in finance, boring is often a very good thing. Why the Genius Act matters. The Genius Act isn't just a bureaucratic checklist. It could reshape the future of money itself. Let's say you're a small business accepting crypto payments. Right now, you're rolling the dice every time someone pays you in Ethereum, which might be worth $100 one minute and $92 the next. Stablecoins solve that, if they're trustworthy. With Genius in place, businesses can finally treat stablecoins like real money. That opens the door to faster, cheaper, borderless payments, even for everyday stuff like groceries or rent. But there's more. Major financial institutions, banks, fintech companies, even retail giants have been waiting for a green light to enter the stablecoin game. Genius provides that light. Already, platforms like Zelle and several US banks are in talks about launching joint stablecoins. Imagine using your Target stablecoin to buy items at a discount, or receiving your paycheck in a Walmart-backed coin that you can use instantly, globally, and with lower fees. Stablecoins could one day replace swiping a Visa card. Genius might not be the end game, but it's a massive step toward a future where digital dollars move as freely as text messages, and with similar levels of trust. But not everyone's cheering. The Critics' Corner. What could go wrong? For every fan of the Genius Act, there's someone waving a red flag. And their concerns aren't just conspiracy theories. Critics say Genius opens the door to something dangerous, letting private companies act like banks without being banks. Corey Freyer, Director of Investor Protection at the Consumer Federation of America, put it bluntly: you wouldn't ask your grandma to trade her FDIC-insured dollars for a coin that doesn't pay interest, isn't government-backed, and has none of the protections of a bank. There's also the Trump connection. One of the first stablecoins to gain traction post-Genius is backed by World Liberty Financial, a company tied to the Trump Organization. While President Trump claims no active role, the coin's rise has already earned the family around $500 million. That raises eyebrows about whether this bill creates an uneven playing field or benefits political allies. Then there's the issue of fragmentation. If every store issues its own stablecoin, consumers may soon juggle a dozen different digital currencies, like a pocket full of loyalty cards, only riskier. And worst of all, systemic risk. If stablecoin issuers collapse, consumers could lose billions. Think 2008 financial crisis, but digital. Critics argue that Genius doesn't do enough to prevent this, especially if enforcement is lax. In short, Genius offers guardrails, but whether those rails can handle the speed and weight of crypto adoption is still uncertain. Investor impact. What this means for you. If you're a crypto investor, you're probably wondering, what does genius mean for my portfolio? In the short term, the market hasn't reacted with fireworks. Bitcoin dropped slightly after the Senate vote, partly due to global tensions. But long term, genius might be one of the most bullish signals we've seen for crypto regulation. Here's why. 1. Legitimacy. The US government is no longer ignoring crypto. That alone attracts institutional investors who've been sitting on the sidelines. 2. Blockchain use. Stablecoins are built on blockchain platforms like Ethereum, Solana, and Avalanche. More stablecoin activity means more demand for the blockchains they run on. 3. Consumer trust. Regulations mean fewer scams and collapses. That's good for adoption, and when more people trust the system, more capital flows into it. But don't get too comfortable. If a major stablecoin fails, even with genius guardrails, the ripple effect could drag down the entire market. Volatility is still very real. Plus, the Genius Act doesn't protect you from sentiment, which in crypto can shift faster than a TikTok trend. Bottom line, genius is a sign the government is taking crypto seriously. Whether that's good or bad for your wallet depends on how prepared and diversified you are. Tax, compliance, and future of regulation. Behind every shiny crypto innovation is a messy tax trail, and genius doesn't magically clean it up. Even with this new legal framework, stablecoins are still classified as property by the IRS. That means every time you buy, sell, or trade a stablecoin, you might trigger a taxable event. Buy a coffee with stablecoins? Taxable. Swap one stablecoin for another? Taxable. Send stablecoins to a friend across borders? You guessed it. Taxable and potentially reportable under FATCA or FBR. Accountants everywhere are scrambling to adapt. Because while Genius requires stablecoin issuers to follow anti-money laundering (AML) rules and maintain monthly audits, the tax burden still falls squarely on the user. Then there's the accounting treatment. Non-permitted issuers' coins can't be recorded as cash or cash equivalents, so businesses must keep them on separate lines in their balance sheets, adding complexity and compliance headaches. Looking ahead, Genius might be just the first step. Other bills like the Clarity Act and the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act are already moving through Congress. Together, they could define who regulates what in the crypto space and determine whether the US stays competitive in digital finance or cedes ground to countries like China and the EU. The future of finance is unfolding in real time. The question isn't if digital assets will go mainstream, it's how. And Genius might be the blueprint that gets us there. The real test: execution over intention. The Genius Act is packed with promise. But as with any bold policy, its real challenge begins after the applause fades. It's one thing to pass a visionary bill, but it's another to translate that vision into real-world impact. Will the bureaucracy keep pace with the ambition? Will international students actually feel the door swing open or just slightly crack? Implementation will determine everything. For the Genius Act to succeed, universities must adapt their support systems. Industries must actively recruit this talent, and immigration services must cut through the usual red tape. If these pieces don't align, the act risks becoming another well-meaning idea buried in execution failure. Because policy alone doesn't change lives. Policy that works does. And let's not forget the human side. Behind every form, every visa, every application, there's a student hoping, dreaming, building a life. If the US truly wants to harness the potential it's already educating, then follow-through matters more than fanfare. In the end, the Genius Act will not be measured by the headlines it generates, but by the futures it helps shape. And that's where the real genius will lie. Whether you're a crypto believer, a skeptic, or just someone trying to make sense of this wild financial world, understanding the Genius Act is no longer optional. It's already shaping how digital money works in America. And if stablecoins are the new dollars, you're going to want to know the rules. So, what do you think? Is genius the future, or a financial gamble dressed in digital clothing? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We love hearing from curious minds like yours. And if this helped you understand a complex topic in a simple, engaging way, why not return the favor? Hit that like button, subscribe for more financial deep dives, and tap the bell so you never miss the next big shift in money. Thanks for spending time with us. See you in the next video.